Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Top V Media, Frankly Speaking podcast. In today's podcast, man, we got great men and women here today. Like, it's a full house. I got with me special people that you out there need to hear from them, learn. Like I always promise, I'm here to bring it to you. Educative podcast. People comes here to tell us what we do to help our lives. We're not just here to entertain you only, but want to improve your lives. We want to make sure that you are safe. We want to make sure that you don't fall a victim of what you don't know about. Learning is a process, and we cannot stop learning every day of our lives. So today, I got with me in the studio. From my immediate right, I got with me Dr. Sashi. How are you, doctor?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. How is life? How is work?
Well, I would say that work is as usual. The doctor's work. I was just talking to Tandy just now, and I was telling her how it's going to be, how it was, and how it is going to be. And it's much better than what I initially practiced. Like when the formative starting years, it was going to be super busy, and you're finding your footing, and you're finding what you're going to do, what you are going to, specialize in, what your interest is in, and. Well, it took me around 7-8 years to actually realize what I wanted to do, and now it's good. Life is good.
That's better. Good. Okay, my wonderful people. I also got with me at my extreme left. I got me Dr. Tadi. How are you, doctor?
I'm good, thank you.
You see, today we got full of doctors, and I got with me a special man, a professor. You need to see and hear this man. He's the man in charge, controlling all the men and making sure that our mental health is okay. I got with me Professor Mori. How are you doing, Professor?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and I'm very happy to be, surrounded by doctors and yourself. I can check it.
Yeah, my people, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please, you need to do so. Subscribe to Top V Media Podcast, Top V Media. Go to my Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We are there. We are going to be dropping back to back men and women that will help us, help you, help me, because every day I'm learning in the studio also. Each time they come, I learn a lot. From my bad habit to good habit. So you need to also follow us, watch. They will drop also their handles. You need to follow them individually and you will learn. You need to follow them anywhere you see them. Instagram, TikTok, follow. You have to follow good things. Good things are good to follow, not all the bad things. So today in the podcast, there are so many important and things that is getting to my head. It's giving me a lot of concern. I didn't want us to know and learn about it. So today, doctor, there is most important worrying part of issue that is giving me concern about our human health, which at the last podcast we talked about it, and today I actually want us to touch that particular place first before we can move into another issues. This one is about the blood group and the food that is good for each blood group to eat. Because when you are eating the wrong food, thinking you are eating the right food, it will also affect your health.
Yeah.
So as a doctor, what are the good foods for each of the blood groups?
Now, before we get into this, I would like to say that this is, if you go to the main stream belief of medicine, this is not there, right? This is not there. This is based on my research and a bunch of naturopaths who have been collecting data, and also my personal interest in anthropology.
Okay.
And also another thing, which is, I always say, you got to question stuff, right? So one of my burning questions when I was throughout my practice is, why is it that, when you do something which is said to be healthy,
okay,
and some people end up getting the disease that you very much fear? And coming from family background where Malaysian Indian, and when you go to a lot of these Indian family gatherings, and they'll talk about how this guy, blah blah, whoever it is, was a vegetarian for a lifetime, for a long time, and he still got heart attack. He got a heart disease, and I was like, so I heard this when I was a child, and it never stopped. it went on to when I was an adult, when I was working, and the thing goes on. And in my head, I was like, this thing is I have to absolutely find out what the hell this is, right? Like, and then like, what does actually healthy eating mean? Like, if it's the same thing for everyone, if it's a one size fits all, and I say this is something I tell to my patients, is like, you were born this day, you're born on this year, and anyone who's born on that year has to die on a certain time because you have done everything healthy together. So where are the studies or data showing that this is actually right for this person or whoever it is? So now it goes to an individual scale, right? So because every person is different, and your genetic sequence makes up what you are supposed to work out. Because remember when Usain Bolt won the when he broke the world record in China, they were like, what he ate for the breakfast before that, and what he ate. They were analyzing that, and they were like, what is his muscle groups made of? So there's a few types of muscles which actually benefit long distance runners, or you're a sprinter, or you're someone who's endurance based, right? So that if that's different, then of course the food has to be something which is different as well, right? So but then we never dwell into that. And then there was a lot of mainstream ideas saying that, look, I think the blood groups are based on disease acquiring ability, or like how you get a certain infectious disease. Because back in the days when humans were still hunter-gatherers, we were still exposed to a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of vectors which can cause us disease. And apparently they were like, oh, that's a belief, but there's no data backing that up, right? And then I stumbled upon a few naturopaths who have been collecting data from the 60s. And around like 4 or 5 years ago, that's when I realized like there's something different. Initially, if what I was doing was working for me very well, that's because I dropped my carbs, I did high intensity interval training, and then I started doing a lot of yoga, and that kind of maintained my weight, and I could eat anything I want. I was like, that's good, but I could not gain muscle. I was like pretty skinny. I was like I try to gain some weight and lift heavier, but I can't, right? So then I was like, there must be something that actually works better. So then you go and do a higher protein level, and then you hit on a bit more slightly add on to the carbs, and it works. But there was also a point where I was like, whenever I put in a bit of a starchy carb, I'll start gaining a bit of weight. I was like, this is weird. So, right, where is that fine tuning? I did calorie counting, I did everything, and then when I stumbled upon this research, and I was like, why not? Why not we, based on this, let's do more of a research. And then I was like, I'm not going to blindly follow anything. And then based on that, when we went to research on anthropology and where this blood group and all this came from, and then that's when I stumbled upon like what was a primitive man's blood group. And it is said that most of the times when they went and dug up the skulls, the old skulls and all those, primitive man, prehistoric Homo sapien, most of them were O, or all of them were O blood group, right? A lot of them were O blood group based, and they were hunter-gatherers, they were scavengers, and they picked on fruits and, when they can't get meat. So predominantly, they were eating a lot of meat-based food. Even the people who were the Inuit people in the north, the Aborigines and all those, a lot of them were O blood. So I went to this data center where you could filter out the blood groups of each country and who makes up the most of the blood group in the country.
Each country has different blood groups.
Yeah. So like in Malaysia, predominantly a lot of them are Bs.
Oh.
Right. And the B blood group people were actually more attuned to eating meat-based, and they were super sensitive towards plant-based food, because plants, what happens is, now this is going back to basic biology. Now what makes food for the plant? The leaves. What actually the plant gives out is the fruit, right? It wants you to take the fruit, disperse the seed, eat that. Right, but what did humans do was like, I'm going to eat your leaves. Right, so what the plants do is they started building up a defense system, which is now, even if you go back to you can go and watch it on YouTube. They have built up defense systems so that the caterpillar does not strip them down to their bare stems, because that toxin which they produce is to defend themselves from being eaten, because that's what produces food, photosynthesis for the plant. If you're going to eat the leaf, it's going to die, right? So to protect itself, plants have devised various ways of coming up with defense mechanisms, right? And these early humans were actually super sensitive to things like phytates, oxalates, a lot of other, I'm talking only about the things which I'm very much concerned about, but there are a lot of other toxins in the plants, which some humans can, and it works well for them, and some humans can't digest them, and are actually quite detrimental to their health, right? And when I did the data, I was like, you know what, I've read this, I've researched on the blood groups, and then I took my patients, and then I put them into categories of O, B, A, and AB, right? And then I came up with the whole reading, and I was like, whoa, a whooping 60% of them who are diabetic, so I put them into an age category of 30 to 40, men, women together, just by blood groups. The ones who were obese were the O's. The ones who were on the higher weight, were higher BMIs were the O's. And most of them, a lot of them have an HbA1c of above 5.6 or 5.7, where they already become diabetic by the age 35. 60% of them fell into that category. The rest of it was B, to a small amount, AB, and finally A, very minimal, right? But 60%, 60 to 65%, that means out of 10 people who come, who are the blood group of O, and they are like, most of them are either diabetic or pre-diabetic or obese. And it's like, wow, how is this data not out there yet?
Why? Yeah.
So,
Right, it's
so
madness.
the O's are at high risk of having diabetics.
So
Okay, sorry, hold on. Dr. Tadi, so from your own experience, have you noticed this, that the O's are the high risk of diabetics?
So I haven't had nearly enough clinical experience as my doctor here to comment on that specifically in terms of blood groups. But I would also say that something that's just not being talked about is this idea that no one size fits all. And we're giving healthcare advice, we're giving a lot of medical advice, lifestyle, even on TikTok. Just do A, B, C, D, and you're going to be this. It's completely, like, that's something, it's a real problem. I say this on, like, okay, so you're talking about blood groups, but even when you talk about women and women who work out, we don't take into account people's hormones throughout their period cycle. You know, a woman, when she drinks alcohol, it's not the same as a man. You know, she's more likely to gain fat and become obese from drinking alcohol than a man is, just because of the way that the body metabolizes those kinds of sugars. So it's like there are a lot of blind spots, I would say, in medicine and healthcare that I think doctors like us were trying to bring attention and awareness to, but it's not one size fits all. You gotta find what works for you specifically. Everybody's body is, you know, uniquely beautiful and different, but that means you kind of have a little bit of a responsibility to say, actually, I am this blood group, I am like this, I do this, so what works for me to be the healthiest I can be? And you have to have those discussions with healthcare practitioners who are trying to, you know, and your own research as well. Don't blindly believe. But
So if you are, like, I would say that sometimes I feel like, you know, there's too much of information out there that confuses people.
Yeah,
But the best way is to go and do a research by yourself. So when you're watching a video on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, you get like, don't do this, do this, don't do this, do this. You know, like, you're gonna get confused, like what Tandy said. Yeah, that's true. But what you can do is to start up, because a lot of these people that they call themselves biohackers. They call themselves people who hack the bio of how they want to age gracefully, or they want to reverse. I say that you can't reverse aging, but you can actually look good, feel good, no matter what, despite your age, if you take care of what you eat, what you do in terms of the mind and the body, right? So these people are mostly non-medical personnel,
you know,
right? And then I was like, So when I was like researching a lot into things like this, and then you go and like, for me, I would understand a scholarly article, but I do not expect people out there to go and read a scholarly article because they'll confuse you and you'll be like, this is. It's like for me, if I pick up a book on computer programming, I'll be like, I can't do this, right?
So, how does people who are not medical practitioners go online to teach people what to do and what not to do? Like,
so you can have a few people that actually are very aware, and they have done a lot of research. I think if you are into like the whole biohacking thing, and you know, like a lot of people come, I want to age gracefully, but how much of effort are you willing to put? You got to follow a bunch of people who are biohackers, like Ben Greenfield, Dave Asprey. These are the people who initially started doing things with their own body, and they experiment with these things, and then they've put it out there like blah blah blah. So if you are someone who's watching instead of reading, these are the people you should watch. Uberman is another person that you can follow on YouTube. There's another guy, Tom Bilyeu. Even people like business moguls like, what's his name, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about peptides and all those. So these are the people, if you've read their books and you're someone who follows these people, you know that they refer to a bunch of doctors who actually talk about the things that I'm talking about today.
Yeah.
Right? So when you go to a general, I'm not going to put them down or anything like that. It's because they have got a ton of work which they are focused on. They are not focused on the food, the diet. It comes under my interest because I started doing functional and regenerative medicine, basically putting you back into a functional state, and your body is able to regenerate so that you don't have to take medicine in the long run. So that's my belief, and that's what I do, right? I work a lot of men, hormonal wellness, women, and all those. And Tandy was right. Even during the cycle for women, how they eat. I've got a friend who makes videos on how you eat according to your cycle.
Yeah.
And that works amazingly well because during each phase of your cycle, you are either estrogenic or your progesterone is higher and your estrogen is low, and then you have your menstruation going on and you're bleeding. So you eat accordingly to your cycle. That's what they believe in. And even, you know, they've got a lot of books supporting that, and they have done studies based on how women eat according to their cycle, have a better menstrual cycle, and also like minimizing the premenstrual syndrome which actually happens.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Professor Mori, in the men's circle, have you ever like trying to have this discussion about diabetes, because currently there's a lot of diabetes in the society, and so many people are not aware about this. Like in your men's circle, have people have this inclusion?
Absolutely, absolutely yes, Valentine. Actually, last Saturday we had quite a massive event where it was the end of a cycle of 1 year of men's circle, and mainly we've been working I would say predominantly in order to spot and learn how to deal with our emotions.
Okay.
And it was quite an interesting journey. And just last Saturday, in order to close up one cycle and open up a new one, for the next year, 2024, what we're going to work on is how to connect with our physical body. As men, we often neglect of taking care of our body due to maybe we've got a family, we're a father, we've got kids.
That's true.
Closing one cycle of the men's circle, so we've been working on how to acknowledge our emotions, how to deal with them, and consequently how to overcome, any kind of fear or limiting belief. Exactly last Saturday, when we had a massive event where about 20 men from all over the world, plus
20.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Beautiful, really. And I just announced what is going to be the objective for 2024. So we are going to have a series of 6 sessions where with the physiotherapist. He's an English guy which used to be in Kuala Lumpur. Now he's back in Dubai. It's gonna show us with accountability. It's gonna share what the best morning routines are, how to feed your body, how to take care of your body. So, long story short, it is very important to acknowledge, especially for men. Nothing, of course, again with women. For a man, which mainly due to the short time to invest in ourselves, we neglect our body. Yeah. How important is to honor the body we live in? How important is to nourish it with the best food as possible? So Yes, we are going to, during the men's circle, we are surely going to put a lot of attention to share to the guys how important it is to take care of it. And then the nutritional part of it, exercise, good sleep, good rest, and a few points.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, doctor. So, when it comes to the blood groups, do you have a specific food that you think that is good for the O's, since they are the high risk of diabetes?
Okay, so yeah, so when I did this, so I'm just going to say that that's one way of finding out, like on a general scale, right? But throughout the years, what happened was now there is something which is more specific towards you. Now we're going towards precision medicine. Now is the age of precision medicine, where, like, even for, just say now someone is diabetic, right?
Okay.
And normally what the doctors will start on is like, start on this, like probably like a metformin or something like that, like a anti-diabetic medicine, they call it. So it's basically to improve on your insulin resistance. Now, we have DNA testing to basically find out if this works for you or not.
Oh,
Before this, we were like, why is this medicine not working for you? Why is this, right? But now, we've got specific DNA testings to find out what kind of medicines work for you. Not only on the basis of diabetes, but if you've got high blood pressure, if you're someone who's having heart disease, if you're someone who's having anything, like even, for instance, paracetamol, if it works for you or not. There's a test to do that. Now, the same principle is used now to screen and see what works for you best in terms of exercise and also diet.
Yeah.
On your saliva, take it, send it to the lab which does these epigenetic testings, and it's now specifically towards what you have to do. Right? Now, so I tested myself with that.
Hey,
And
those
going,
odds.
yes, and then I was like, someone was like talking about, okay, let's see how this based on the blood group dieting actually, is it real? Like, it has to have some backup with the epigenetics, right?
Yeah.
Wham! It came up to me to be like 100% in terms of how. So they've come up with the ranking to say that what kind of group of foods works well, right? And if I do a low carb, it's 100% success if I'm looking at weight loss, and if I take higher protein and more fats on higher scale, where people are like afraid of fats, right? People are normally like, oh, fats cause heart attack and all this is absolute rubbish. That's not the way it works. I think we spoke about it last time, but we'll talk about it in another episode probably. And my test results came out as no restrictions to eat any kind of meat. But when it comes to like grains, it's like beware of grains, blah, 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 blah. Vegetables, blah, 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 this and this. But you see, this is an upgrade where even that list was not good enough. When I went and did my blood test, and I realized, like, look, let's try and see if these plant-based food, things which are not able to be digested by my blood group, actually works for me when I, avoid them. So I avoided green leafy vegetables. That's the first thing I did.
Okay.
So I didn't avoid vegetables, but anything which was green leafy, like a spinach, or like Malaysians love their green leafy vegetables, right? And I used to love it a lot. And my iron levels were always below par, right? And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and do like a 2-month of a pure carnivore diet. I was like, I've tried keto, I've tried a vegetarian diet before. So I was like, why not try I try a carnivore-based, a meat-based diet for like 2 months.
okay.
And I got myself a good grass-fed meat locally, and then you can get lamb and chicken, and then all good pasture raised and good quality. And I cooked at home every day, and I just ate this. And I introduced fruits into the second half of the month. And when I did a blood test before and after, and I was like, what? It was like massive difference. A massive difference in terms of like avoiding grains. My iron levels went up, my vitamin D went up, my thyroid function was like off the roof, and I was like, how is this even possible? The thing is, this is an experiment I did on myself. I did not take any form of pills or vitamins or nothing for the 2 months. It was just food, right? So when you ask me like what is based on a general scale, I'll say that if you're an O or a B, I would say try to generally avoid taking green leafy vegetables. You want to take vegetables, I know you're used to it. You can take the fruit of the plant. You can take the root of the plant if it works for you. If you are an O blood group, even try to avoid the starchy ones. But I know growing up in a certain culture, you might want to take a bit of rice here and there, and that's okay, not too bad. But I think avoidance of flour-based food like oats, wheat, and all those is something that the O and the B are not able to digest properly. That's something that I found out.
Before now they used to tell us if you are trying to avoid diabetes, you have to eat wheat. And I'm just hearing today that it's not good.
No.
A lot of our flours today are refined. It's not the kind of flour we used to have back in the day.
Yes.
That the kind of starch even that will give you energy for the whole day. Now it's a lot of
Also, I think back in the days, if you are someone who's with the O blood group and you are a farmer and you're eating cups, and
you need it. You need the energy.
You need it.
Yeah.
Right now, you're like this,
everybody's at home.
and this. Go back home and then like this with your Netflix and chill and whatever.
Energy
And
to
then
go
like
to the car.
Yeah, and you don't even like I've got to tell people like start walking I walk at work. I was like no, not that do your steps and make like a 5 kilometer or 10 kilometer. And Maori and me always talk about this in our podcast and videos, and we tell people you got to do movement, right? Because we don't do enough movement. So with the current way of eating and the food that is being sold off the supermarket shelves and all those, plus added on with the way of the lifestyle is right now, that's why I'm seeing the rise in the O and the B blood groups having this. Right? So whereas the same thing done by someone who's in the A blood group and the AB.
If anyone in the O blood group must eat this, that means they have to make exercising part of their life.
Anyone.
I think all groups.
That's everyone.
Okay,
all groups must have exercise.
All groups. That is something that I'll say that you have to do a bit of resistance workout if you want to do yoga or whatever it is. And but the thing is, when you are someone who's working out in a disciplined manner, you have not much, 4 days, 5 days a week, 4 days of probably a weight workout, and then the other 3 days, I'm not telling even people who overdo it, I'll be don't do that. That doesn't work. You can't push weights 7 days a week. No one does that. So 4 days a week, 3 days a week, and then the rest of the days you go for a walk or you do something like a swim or something like that. Amazing, good enough.
And this is what I also tell, I often get the question, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm not an exercising woman. I'm not what do I do? And I'm like, you said it right there. It's the movement, and you want to find a movement that works for you. If that is doing Zumba dance twice a week, that is doing Zumba. If that is going on a walk or swimming or even just taking the stairs, it's just about moving more. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a study that actually shows that those who move more, even with smoking, compared to those who don't move at all, they still see
much of a
improved
difference.
outcomes
Yes.
and longer life just by the movement. And I always say as well, reminder, exercise movement, it's not about weight loss, and it's not even about diabetes, I would say. It's about so many other things: your mental health, your memory, sleep, cognitive function, sexual function, all of it is improved by just moving.
Okay, doctor, I want to know, a man and a woman having any, you just said something now?
Sorry.
A man and a woman having anything as husband and wife, can that be considered as part of exercise?
I would say that this is why I see a lot of men having men's issues, right? An ED or a PE or erectile issues, and premature ejaculation, whatever it is, men go through, right? And then don't women go through things like this? And I was like, yes, they do. They do go through things, but it's just that they don't realize it, right? So inability to actually climax is actually an issue. And then most of the time it comes to a point where they're like, oh, the man is not able to last as long as the women. It's that's not how it works. Because you are unable to achieve the climax or orgasm is because of poor blood flow to the vagina, and also vaginal dryness, many other things. It's just that it's not something which they think that it's a problem, and that happens.
So sorry, I want to get something. So you mean the vaginal dryness is as cause of lack of exercise or what?
Possible? Poor
There are many
blood
reasons.
flow. There's so many reasons for it.
There's many, but
There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's not moving in the long term, and you're someone who's, you see, you also see a rise in the cancer of the organs of what women have, like like ovarians,
Vulva, yeah.
uterine fibroids. Fibroids like is given right now.
Yeah.
Polycystic ovarian syndrome is like everywhere. It's like it was not something big 10 years ago. Now it's like boom everywhere.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a rise in the amount of processed food that you eat.
Yeah.
Now, what that actually does is we've got studies to say that a man's fertility rate has dropped by 50% as compared to the 70s and the 60s, right? Now, what is the difference in our lifestyle that causes that to happen? Food, lack of exercise, movement. These are the things that actually contribute to, and environmental factors as well.
Yeah.
Like the pollution and whatever. That is one of the other reasons which happens with this. Right now, back to your question where you asked me if it's something which is considered to be like exercise, right? Now, that depends. Sweden has actually come up saying that they have actually recognized sex as exercise, right?
Exercise.
And also the other thing is, if you are someone who's physically fit and able, you're going to have a better sexual life. That's a given. That's for sure. But if you're someone who's, just say one of your partners is active, the other person is not, you're going to be disappointed with one of them, right? One of them is going to be disappointed because you're like not up there, right? So, and I tell men, if you can't do 10 push-ups, don't even dream, right? So, because if you are going to like huff and puff after 10 push-ups, sex is something which requires the blood to be going to the erection, which gives the erection, and it basically, there's not an extra supply from anywhere else. It's basically taking the blood, which is going to supply other organs, which are vital organs, and be given for erection. Now, if you're someone who's got low stamina and your body is not used to, like having a lower blood flow, especially to the heart and, other important organs, you're not going to be able to have a good erection, and that can actually cause people to have erectile dysfunction and issues like that. So you have to be physically fit and able to enjoy a good sexual life.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is true.
So Dr. Tadi, what do you have to say about this when it comes to women having dryness in the vagina?
Yeah, so number one, there's a lot of different factors that contribute to that. So it's not always just somebody is obese or they're this, they don't exercise, that means they have this problem. That's not always the reason. But I think we need to be having more discussions as women, especially as well, like what your sexual experience is like. And, you can't escape the idea that you will enjoy it more when you are moving more and when you are exercising more. And this is why I say movement kind of is the heart of it. Why? Because I think one issue that can lead to lack of arousal or lack of blood flow or vaginal dryness is even just, it's the mental link for most women, right? The mental link to their body and their mind. So it's been said, not all women, but it's been said that, that emotional connection is very important when they're having sexual intercourse. So when you say emotional connection, it also starts inside of you. What am I talking about? How a woman sees herself, right? How she sees her body. Does she feel like she's sexy? Does she feel like she's strong? Does she feel like all these things? And you can't rely on external factors for that. You're not looking at your partner to give you that. So when I encourage my women to move, it's so that you feel good, you feel strong, you feel capable, as well as also having the stamina to keep up. But at that point, you are just also having fun, and you can lose yourself in the physical movement of it as well. So those are really real issues. I think if you're a woman who's experiencing dryness or you notice it, right? Like jot it down and bring it up in conversation to somebody else and try and talk about it and do your research on it as well. I've heard alcohol as well, because it dehydrates people, right? So there's an increased incidence of vaginal dryness, but then we don't talk about that.
If a woman is consuming high level of alcohol, it can also cause dryness?
It can, chronic dehydration, definitely. Or even like the night after, or, again, it depends on everybody's very personal experience, but it's happening. It's very common. And a lot of the solutions are taking care of yourself physically in order to feel emotionally and mentally better, and then it bleeds into other aspects of your life. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to add on the mental health side of things?
Really.
Yeah.
I think Maori, you do with the men's circle is to mentally connect and respect. And the first thing that we do is to respect the body. That's what we talk about.
Yeah.
The men respect their.
Yes, I think it's like important to, in order to have a really fulfilling life. It's really important to start on. I would say more is connection with the body. It's the ability of closing the eyes and really feel. That's one of the things that I suggest. Is always close your eyes and like scan from the forehead until the very end of your legs, and try to feel how your body is responding to certain emotions. Once you eat certain meals, how your body responds, you know.
That's true.
So, and that I think is a starting point, because when I can acknowledge how my body is responding to some situation that might trigger me anger or frustration, and a spot where that frustration is coming from, the awareness always helps me to, okay, I get it, you know, so I start to question myself,
Yeah.
why am I reacting this way?
Yeah.
And consequently, the same thing is with the diet, you know, and who knows me well, I've been very disciplined with my diet since at least 20 years ago, and I've been trying different kinds of approach. In my case, I've seen the best results in terms of energy and focus, and mindset is always a low carbohydrate regime. Even though now that I'm a middle-aged man, I've noticed that my body, when I work out, responds in a less reactive way. So I'm adding some carbohydrates in order to fulfill more glycogen, so to have a bit more pump, let's say. But it comes with a curiosity again to close your eyes, get in touch with your body, and play with it. See, you know, giving some,
Play with it, yeah.
trying out
Yeah.
new diets and new ways of, deal with your body.
Okay, Mr. Mori, in the main circle, because of recently, men are having this issue of low performance in the when it comes to sex. So, what is your advice or to the men's circle how to make or to keep their home running by performing more? Because so many women complain a lot that oh, my husband cannot satisfy me and all the rest. So
Well, interesting. There are several things. Okay, first and foremost, as men, we really struggle to share with our bodies. We call them bro. Even that we know we are sexually struggling, maybe having an erection or performing, or we struggle there because we believe that our friends, they can see us as weakness, as weak, and actually having the strength and courage to share that, I believe any single man, myself included, when I was, especially to me, happened when I'm hyper stressed. I get disconnected from my mind and my lower body. That's the way I react, for example. It could be many reasons, low testosterone, and then you have to understand why the testosterone is low. Could be lack of good sleep, high cortisol, very poor diet, and so forth and so on. So to reply to your question is always have the courage to be vulnerable with the people, a group of men or your spouse, and discuss about it. And then there are several ways. First of all is have a blood test and see, as I did recently, by the way, with Dr. Sashi. I've seen my testosterone was low, so we try to tackle it, with supplements, proper rest, for example. But it's a very common situation that men are going through due to the hyper stress life, lack of sleep especially, and not much fun as well. They're so focused on doing things without having fun. And testosterone is fair enough. In an environment where you are happy on what you're doing, it supports having a sex life, proper sex life as well. Axel.
okay, doctor.
Okay.
So you have contribution to what Mr. Mori just
Yes, I was going to add on to that. You see, that's also another, when Maori picked up a very good point we said about stress, right?
Okay.
Now I'm going to go back to a point where stress, the factors are different right now, but what your body secretes in response to stress has never changed since the time of any animal. Since you were in the cave, you're coming out, it's cortisol, right? So now, as hunter-gatherers, or scavengers first. We were scavengers first, right? So when there's a big chunk of animal which is dead and killed by a lion or whatever, and then you go and now the lion is gone, it's full, now you're going to go and scavenge that meat and you're going to eat it. Suddenly you got to compete with, just say, a hyena or another wolf or whatever it is that's going to come now, and then now they have a gang. They've got a bunch, like other things, like fangs, claws, and you got to run. You're someone who's just scavenging on the sides, right? So now you're like, oh shit, I got to run away. I got to run away from this animal, and it's going to eat me. So I better go run and hide. So the stress factor rises up,
Okay.
right? And when your stress factor rises up, the first instinct is to fight or flight, right?
Fight.
And during that response, who's going to think about sex?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to think about sex.
Sure.
And if you have eaten something, you might even regurgitate, throw it out, so it's easier for you to run away. Now, same thing which is secreted in the body right now.
Okay.
When you are now at work or your business or whatever it is, that lion or the tiger is your boss or your work, which is going to be constantly there, right? And as compared to the time when you are running away from that animal, it might go away after a while.
Okay.
But as work is, it never goes off, right? So now this lion is something which is surrounding you, constantly there, and it's not
24/7,
living
yeah.
forever there, right? And if that happens, you're going to shut down sexually, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing that in the short term is you won't feel like you want to eat. You feel like, oh, maybe you want to have a smoke, you want to have alcohol, you want to do something, that's the thing that you want to do instead of eating, right? So, and when it goes on continuously like this, your body is going to go into something called adrenal fatigue, where the body gets fatigued because there's too much of action in the adrenal gland going on. And bear in mind that there's also some testosterone secreted from the adrenal gland, which is also very important, and it works in a different way as compared to the testosterone which is secreted from your testicles, right? So it's slightly different. And when there's a lot of cortisol, testosterone from the adrenal cortex is also shut down,
Yeah.
right? So now this means that you might gain weight easily because of this long-term effect of cortisol, and also your immune system is going to be compromised. Your defense system of the body is going to be compromised, and all this will lead to a drop in your general testosterone, your bone strength, your muscle strength.
Yeah.
All this is going to happen. So as Stanley was saying, movement is very important to actually mitigate this. It's not for anyone else. It's not for external validation. It's for you to build your confidence. Women, men, you get this not because you look good or you feel or you want to make sure that other people talk about you. That's external validation again. But if you feel good about yourself and what you're doing, whatever happens to your body after that is a byproduct of what you are doing to yourself. Yeah.
Okay, doctor, since excessive alcohol to a woman can cause dryness, so to a man, excessive alcohol, can that cause
Infertility.
PD.
or low performance or
Low
Infertility.
performance as well.
infertility?
Infertility.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh,
Even
men, you can hear this.
Or you've even heard whiskey dick,
So-
right?
You can have what?
Whiskey.
So men out there, if you are taking excessive alcohol, you hear that doctor said
Yeah.
that cause
Yeah.
infertility. So
if you're an alcoholic, now if you are someone who's consuming 1 or 2 glasses of good whiskey or a rum or something like that, that actually helps out with the testosterone
can help,
level.
yeah. It
And also
can.
proper
Yeah.
blood flow, not
Proper.
1 or 2 bottles. 1 or 2.
You know, not to the point
like
where
one
Yeah.
glass or
not a bottle.
Not 1 or 2 bottles, right? If you're having like 1 or 2 glasses of whiskey, like like in a week you want to have like, just a chill out drink, that actually helps out with the testosterone added
Yeah.
on that you're moving.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just sit down every week, have 2 glasses without moving. No, it actually helps out with the testosterone level because
Yeah.
there's also an improvement in blood flow with these fermented drinks.
okay. If
Same with
if
wine.
whiskey is a bit helpful, then what happens to beer?
Traditional beer or processed beer?
That's the question.
Like the kind of beer we see
you
today.
just buy in the
Hyper processed,
Hyper-processed.
fermented with yeast, fungal growth in the abdomen or the stomach. Sorry, the intestinal lining increases with the overconsumption of beer.
Beer, yeah.
And also it actually causes a lot of things like reflux, GERD, and all those. It's because beer is predominantly made out of wheat and barley and all the grains, right? It's fermented fast so that it is, like mass produced in so that it's mass produced, so it's sold fast. So that's one way. But actual real beer is kept for a long time until it proves by itself, and it's actually got a lot of good bacteria in it. Not only yeast. Predominantly, there's a lot of yeast, but there's a lot of other bacteria that actually helps out with that. It's actually something like a kefir or a kombucha or something like that. That's what actually beer is. There's a bit of alcohol in it, but not to a point where what it is right now. Right now, we have hyper alcoholized.
Yeah.
It's not even a word. But you've increased the amount of alcohol in beer, and also the time for it to ferment is shortened because we use yeast instead of naturally letting it to brew by itself. So processed beer in the long run is actually not so good, not a very good thing.
Okay, Mr. Mori, have you have this kind of discussion in the men's circle, like trying to let the men know the level of alcohol consumption they should be taking? Because you can hear from the doctors that processed beer and all the rest are not good for men.
Yes, we did, and it's interesting. Again, all this men's work is teaching me something, that men not having an outlet, a place where they can be open, they do not share. And in order not to share, as Dr. Shashi said before, they look for outlets. Could be smoking weed, drinking beers, using drugs. Not because, if you see the data, mainly the overdose worldwide are men. Who dies by overdose worldwide for drugs is men.
Men, yeah.
And alcoholics as well.
Yeah.
Why? Because we find ways on them ourselves. I'm not able to process my emotion because I don't have even the will to acknowledge them, so what do I drink? So I forget about them. But then what happened? The next day you wake up, real low energy, low testosterone, and you start to trigger a cycle of, you mentioned in the previous podcast, depression. And that's why it's getting so strong, even depression within men. So I think it's a quite crossover thing of men and women, but men are more affected because women they did a very good job. They are much more keen and prone to be vulnerable within themselves. And in a group, men are struggling. So yes, there is a lot of guys that they do prefer to have a bottle of whiskey instead of be open and share with others.
But if I may add on that on the discussion, right?
Okay.
Especially here, it's if there's anything that you at home or today to take away from, it's to have empathy. We're all human beings. We're all dealing with very primitive responses to everything. And when I say have empathy, it could look like, your spouse is coming home from work and is that the best time to have a very serious or very stressful discussion for both of you?
So why women don't understand this? Because they always wait for men. They don't care if you are coming back from a stressful. Once they are back, they are seeing you. They want to go up on you.
I won't speak for all women, but I'll say that it's not that they want to come at you, right? It's not that they are also, women also have problems and struggles too. And you're going to your partner to solve those struggles. But it's just maybe timing is not aligned. Maybe mindset is not aligned. That's all that it is. It takes a 5-10 minute discussion of saying, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling great, talking right now. Can we have this discussion later? And men also need to be understanding of that. You can't also come home and say, where's the food? Where is this? Where is that? This isn't ironed. This is, which does happen in our African communities a lot. It takes empathy on both sides that, hey, you guys are both human beings dealing with very stressful work, social issues. It's on the back of what you were saying. It's good that women do have these, social networks and support, but there's also downsides to that. There's a tension to keep up to it. It needs to be tended. It's a job almost on its own. So we're all human beings trying to navigate it, having the empathy that just to listen, that this is my friend, my partner, my fellow and what can I do to help your burden as you help mine? How can we move together? That's
Beautifully said. And I feel to add something on what you just said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Beautifully said. How can a man, the point is, when men, they're not able to be in touch with themselves. So they cannot be compassionate with themselves, they cannot be forgiving with themselves, they get a lot of frustration. How do you think it's possible in a couple, so man and woman, where a man can be compassionate with somebody else, especially the woman, because he's not even able to process his frustration.
Inside, yeah.
So that's why I really put 1,000% myself in this work, because think about a society where women, they do their own inner work. Men, they do their own inner work, so the communication is much smoother.
It's beautiful.
It's more conscious, because it's not anymore trigger one each other.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a man in my own skin, if I'm a man that is grounded, humble, learn to be my best friend, I won't be triggered by my partner, because I can see the compassion in her. So what I would just say that is so fundamental, and I think it's coming, worldwide is coming, that men and women, they do have to do their homework.
Yeah.
To have a much better communication, and it will happen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think, we are working through our differences. As in, if you compare the society of the world, as what Tandy was saying, that it's happening. I don't know if it's happening in the African community. Like men come back and tell.
Yeah.
It's lesser of an occurrence these days. I feel. I don't know. Maybe it is less of an occurrence because women have started going out to work as well these days.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense if the man comes back and says what is not done here, because
it happens in African communities.
She's working and she's providing for the family as well. So so I think on a general scale, if I look at it, it is lesser of an occurrence as compared to even 20 years ago. And I can only feel from now on, it's probably where we work through our differences. Men and women are different, right? And the instinct of a man to be a provider and not forgiving yourself if you're not a good provider is something which is always going to
be
play.
there.
I mean, not say it's a drive. It's you can use that to actually drive you, like we always talk about. You're not going to be content with it's okay. It's not going to be a thing. So and then if you're as a guy, if you're going to feel like I'm not enough all the time, that's going to be bad. So if you got to talk about, men are going to be talking about, be open to talk about that, right? And on the women's aspect, they have their issues. So they have their circle and they talk about what is going on. And when we come, I think from now, from as compared to before, now and in the future, I only feel like it's only going to get better.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's what I feel. Yeah,
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We believe it will get better, and so there will be much understanding between the partners at home, because to me, I think men got a lot of stress. That is why sometimes they don't perform, or sometimes they are not even. They don't have the urge to go into it, because when you have a lot of bills to pay, when you have a lot of things facing you at home and in the office, it will also affect your mental health.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Tade, I want to ask something very important about women. There is this ongoing trend of all the women, most especially in Africa. I don't know about here in Malaysia. All the women trying to change their body, change their look. They want to have a big boss, have to have big hair everywhere, look big, look different from who they are, which they call, is it a BBL or something? So I want to know, as a doctor and a woman, what do you think that is the cause of this and the effects of this ongoing trend of women changing their looks?
Well, thank you for that question. It's a really important topic. In one word, it's insecurity. Yeah, it's insecurity. And men have insecurities too. But when it comes to women, what I've observed or what I see is that they are insecure on how they appear visually in the world, which is actually quite important, because some women will choose friends based on aesthetic, or based on people who look like each other, people who dress in a certain way, people who, and it's accelerated by social media, but not just social media, even real life interactions. There are, for example, restaurants that won't admit you if you don't have a certain number of followers. I've seen it here in KL as well, not the followers bit, but if you are a woman who dresses well and you, not just dresses well, but looks like the shape that social media seems to promote, right? If you look like that, you will get preferential treatment in a lot of places in KL or in Malaysia, especially in the entertainment industry. We talked about that last time.
Very
right?
important entertainment industry.
But even if, you're going out, if your group of friends doesn't look a certain way, it can have impacts that people internalize, if that makes sense. So people see what's happening externally and they take it in and they're like, it's a critique on me. So I should change myself to be more what they want. And then I would get more jobs, get more money, have more relationship options and whatnot. But what I try and teach through my own life and my own personality and platform is that you can change everything about yourself, and then what? And then what? Is that who you are? And I really believe in authenticity, right? Getting in touch with who you are, first of all, and being so comfortable with that any type of improvement, even when it comes to exercise, whatever, it's not to gain followers, it's not to look good, it's for you, and it's for your own health, and it's for your own self-confidence. So yeah, it's lack of self-confidence, it's insecurity. The BBL trend is very big. I wish when we talk about this topic, I feel like a lot of men or a lot of people, even women, it's easy to laugh at people and say, haha, why are you changing your body? Nobody likes that fake shit anyways. It's easy to say that, but it's coming from a place of judgment a little bit. You have to remember, again, these are people with very real insecurities. If I should share, right, without getting too personal, when I was growing up, all throughout high school, I was called dark, fat, and ugly, And those it cuts deep, So if you never confront that, if you think for the rest of your life, now I have to be skinny, I have to be thin, I have to be light in order to be the opposite of what I experienced in childhood, you'll never, it's a race you can't win. So I had to come to to my own self-acceptance and be like, actually, I am who I am, baby, and that's amazing, it's lit. But not everybody sees those examples. People, it's kind of easier. People feel like, let me just get 50K and get that nose job or get that. And again, it's not that I'm saying I'm against people doing these things, but you have to really ask yourself why and who is it for? And in 10 years' time, am I still going to want this aesthetic, this thing that I'm chasing by getting this body, by getting this light skin? Is it worth it? I think that when you sit down and you say, hey, like really get in touch with who you are, that's when you're going to start to tackle the insecurities and whatnot. And that's why I think when you see both men and women or everyone, if you see somebody who's out there doing the best that they can, living their life, exercising, trying to be healthy, support it rather than bashing what you don't want to see. Because you might be bashing this celebrity who's had a BBL or whatever, not knowing your own sister is trying to save up money for that. And but she's hearing what you're saying about these people, and it influences. Or when people say, nah, I like this, I like that, yes, everybody's entitled to their opinion and preferences and whatnot, but let's try. My thing is let's try as much to uplift people and work on our insecurities together. Because I also feel like insecurities, we don't talk about it. Yes, women talk, but again, and I think you touched on it earlier, you said, yes, there's the idea that BBLs and people are doing it for the male gaze, right? For male attention. But it is also because women can be really mean to each other when it comes to other people's insecurities, Oh my God, her belly, this, that,
I've seen that. I've heard that. Yeah.
Girls, her hair is this. Have you seen the way she dresses? So we don't also, even within women, we need to, or female spaces, we need to be more supportive and have more empathy. This is a fucking human being. That's a human being there. And you know, she's beautiful the way she is. Why do I have to then tear her down? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
Absolutely.
so that it's in one word, it's insecurity. I don't condone it. It's the BBL, like we've said, is one of the most dangerous surgical procedures. No surgeries without its risks, and even the non-surgical options that people will tell you on
that's even more
Instagram.
worse. Yeah.
You know, and they're usually done by non-medical.
Non-medical personnel.
You can do a course and inject.
I'm hearing today.
Yeah.
You can you
Like,
can do a
doing that
course,
not by a medical doctor. Like it's crazy, man.
and I can inject your lip like in 12 months, and without knowing anything that's in your lip.
Yeah.
But you know, and it can have really serious long-term. And again, we don't hear the stories of the people who have these
Things done
consequences for the rest of their lives, and we need to talk about that more. So that's why I'm
very
interested in people's stories.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Shashi, before I come to you, Mr. Mori, I want to know, because when it comes to this trend,
Are
it's
you
not
going to ask me if you're going to do my lips?
Steroids.
because it's not only women are doing this. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Men are also doing
It's not.
Yeah, men are also doing it. So men want
She's
to.
going to do for me.
Some men want to enlarge this, enlarge that.
But they do steroids too.
Oh.
Yeah, right? I don't know.
To the men's circle, have you noticed or have you discussed about these men changing their look into another area? Because it's not only women doing this, men are also.
Mean more surgery or like pumping themselves with on the gym?
Both surgery, both pumping, everything, like changing your look from who you are. Other than doing the normal exercise, when you get that from the gym is good, but going to change your under, change here, change there.
Wow, that's oof. I think that's a very hot topic, and it will take a few times to talk about it. Not okay. As I mentioned, our men's circle is very inclusive. So there is we go beyond any separation due
That's
to
good.
religion. If there are gay guys, everyone is accepted. Okay, so just to let you know how it's very inclusive. Number one, there is no skin color, there is no religion. We are all men sitting there because we are trying to figure it out together how to make it happen.
Yeah.
Then, for what it comes, if you are asking me my personal opinion, to be honest, I'm totally okay. If a soul born in a male body feels that he wants to change and get surgery to become a woman, if you ask my personal idea,
Okay.
I'm totally okay with it. I mean, God bless. I mean, why should I mean, why not? That's my personal idea. Then if you ask me if I'm going to change my sex, no, I won't.
Okay.
But if somebody else does, I'm okay with it. I mean, I respect the choice.
Okay.
I mean, I feel being, let's assume, a male, and feel that you are attracted by other male, and you feel inside that you are totally a female, and you want to express that, why not? Why to live all your life frustrated or not able to express your sexuality due to the conditioning of a society? I mean, I try to be myself, and that's what we teach. You know, you just say
Be yourself as much
be
as you
yourself.
can.
So be yourself means 360 degrees. Be yourself.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
Okay. All right. Doctor, when it comes to this women BBL thing, you have you are a medical doctor. You are in the line. You know the implications of doing this, and if it's a good thing or it's something that we in the 5-10 years coming, that these people will start seeing the repercussion of what they just did. Like, what is your take on this particular trend of women and men changing their
The way they look.
they look?
See, so there's a few instances that it could be in a positive way. There are instances where, like what Tandy said, is like, where is it going to end?
Yeah.
Like, who are you doing it for? Like, for instance, someone who has lost a lot of weight, who has lost significant amount of weight from being obese, and they have a lot of extra skin sagging or subcutaneous fat and all those, and they would like to get that removed and to have like a better. Kudos to them. They've done a lot of work, and to get this skin removed is something which is going to be impacting them in a positive way, right? As opposed to someone who came and asked me recently, what do you think of me doing a gastric sleeve or taking Ozempic, which is a semaglutide, which is a diabetic medication. As people use it as a shortcut for obesity, and I was like, you know that it's not going to be something which is good in the long run because it kind of messes up your gastrointestinal system and it also your digestive system, right?
Okay.
So shortcuts, no. But if it's something going to enhance and improve on your own effort and like removing the excess skin or whatever it is after like years or months of workout, where you can have that in people who are obese, right? Yes, go ahead, do it. It improves your confidence, it makes you feel better. Yeah, do that. If it's something which is going to be like, what would people say? What would people think? What would I like I want to have like a six-pack, like implanted into me, so I can get into the game, which is a huge thing in the US.
Yeah.
Because like if you're not in the game in
Just
LA, if you don't even have like a 4-pack, you're not even going to be in the game of dating. And I was like, whoa, that's gonna be like, so yeah. And I saw this meme where like in another 60 or 70 years, we're gonna be seeing old people with huge boobs and six-packs, mentally incapable of thinking why they did that. Because like, why did I do this? Because you failed to invest in something which the humans, based on evolution, were given better than any other animal was this.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where most of it has to be invested. When you use this and it is now primed to work for you, instead of it telling you what to do, now this is when the mind is a good slave but a bad master. Because now, I hate to use that term, but it's now something which you are able to focus on instead of the mind focusing it for you. This is when it's like, oh, go eat this, go do that, right? Instead of like, pop, I want to do this at this time, done. So the same thing works when you're coming to like your body, like I want to do this because it makes me feel better. That's it, done. Not for any external validation. It's for your own self. And it's not like constantly augmenting to get bigger, whatever, and all those things. That's not going to last. And these people, most of them, sadly, a lot of them actually go to a lot of depression or anxiety based on what social media or the surrounding has actually pressured them on. So like when you're looking and laughing at them, it's actually, I feel like they actually need help. And like mostly women now are more prone to, now the statistics show that there are more men committing suicide as compared to women. Right? The success rate of committing suicide is higher. The attempt of suicide is higher in women, but
actually going
through and like actually dying, it's higher amongst men. But in the future, this is going to be more towards women, where now we have a phenomena of social media, OnlyFans, Instagram, and 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds who are not going to look the same if they just bank on how they look when they are 40 or 45. 90 or 80% of them might not get the attention they're getting right now. And what's going to leave them? That's going to be very sad to look at. And if they're going to keep up, like, oh, I got to keep up with this in a good way, like, they work out and all those, good. But what if they're like, I'm going to find a shortcut to do it, which a lot of them do, BBLs, boob jobs, fillers. A lot of them look like it's just so distorted that they don't understand how they look like anymore. Like just for how the society or social media wants to look at them. So this in the future will cause a huge surge in women going into a point of suicide, overdosing, any ways to achieve that. So that's something which we have to look at.
Okay. So this fat transfer, does it have any direct or indirect effect to the body, like where they transfer the fat?
See, like we were talking about earlier. We were talking about if they are going to put it into like a safe zone. I would say like relatively a safe zone. Like you want to boost your confidence. You want to have a better bust line. You want to do a fat transfer from your belly to your boobs order. It might be relatively safer as compared to a BBL. A BBL is one of the most dangerous procedures in surgery because you don't understand the spaces in the muscles in the body. Because when you put it in, it is going to migrate if you don't know how you put it in properly or where, in which place a plastic surgeon or reconstructive surgeon would know which fat spaces, muscle spaces that this migrates to and where you can put it in all those. Even then, like Tandy said, it's not something which is guaranteed. You can still have complications.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
now you've got people who are not even medical personnel injecting I don't know what into where these spaces are. And I've personally known a very bad case of a wrong filler injection going, from the gluteus region going into the vagina. And that was mad to look at it, like the amount of fluid that they injected. Well, the gluteus region is big.
So the food can move from the back to the front?
Yeah.
Yes, it spaces. It can go to your thighs.
It can go into your bloodstream and then end up, blocking.
Blocking, yeah. If
heart
it goes to,
stroke,
we could even
pulmonary
cause stroke, or
embolism.
like if it goes into a
The
bloodstream.
list is long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Side effects.
I don't think that these women doing this. I don't think they have this knowledge that this fat can move from their back to the front.
Yeah, so
I mean,
that's,
it's out there. It's talked about,
means,
but
the doctors have
they
a lot of
don't
work to
weigh
do.
in.
Like need to sensitize people about this because, like I'm even myself. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a woman, but I'm scared for them.
yeah.
then again, if you are like someone who is researching well and you use a lot of information to do these things, as opposed to like, I want to do this, I want to get this
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
You will research
I know.
and know how to do it.
There's
There's this complex in me last time that I have to tell people and save people. But the thing is, I'm not able to save and be a savior of everyone, nor is any other doctor.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this information is out there for you to research. If you want to do it, read about it. Get to know. Get a professional who is able to do this procedure to tell you the dangers, and a doctor will definitely tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
A surgeon will tell you that. But if someone is going to do like in an apartment or a condo where they go, like
Back
they're going
alley.
to, for a fraction of the price,
Yeah.
trust me, if you're lucky, you get away with it. But a lot of them end up with long-term complications.
Yeah. Even some die at the process of doing that.
Yeah.
A lot do. A lot do.
Okay, wonderful people. We are coming to the end of this podcast today, and we have talked a lot. Like me, also, I'm learning a lot. I believe you out there. By the time you listen to this podcast, you will learn, and it's going to help you. So, before we come to an end of this podcast, I want to hear your advice, Dr. Tadi, for the women. What is your advice for them? Those who want to do BBL and whatever they want to do, what's your advice for them before we go forward?
Yeah, so my main advice, especially to those, I would say under 35, I'm not even 35, but anyone, a woman under 35, don't listen to all the different voices of society. Everybody's going to have an opinion on what you should and shouldn't do, look, think, eat, drink, whatever. But know that there is beauty, there's actual so much joy in doing the work. And when I say the work, I mean everything from exercise. There is beauty in discipline and learning how to be disciplined in yourself, in being simple, actually. And I'm not saying don't go after luxury things or looking good. That's not what I'm saying. There is value in doing things in your own way, in your own time, in embracing who you are, in learning, in admitting, yeah, I have mistakes, I have bad habits, I have this, but don't just stay there. There is beauty in working on those things, and don't always look for the quick fix, because there's a price to pay for every decision. And as a woman, your life does get beautiful as you go on. Don't let anybody trick you that youth is the time of... Life will become beautiful if you invest in the things that last. So that's my biggest
That's
thing.
wonderful. Okay, to you, Mr. Mori, what's your final advice for the people out there, to the men and to the women?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will extend actually this message to both gender. What I believe is very important in life, and you said in a way, even Shashi, is just be curious. And curious means play, experiment, try to figure it out and find, as you said very nicely, find pleasure in the process.
Yeah.
You know, we are so, we've been taught that from A to B, the fastest you get at the point B, you are successful. Instead of enjoy the journey. It took me 46 years of life to understand it. Hope you get it faster than me, guys. But really enjoy the process.
You got it,
Enjoy the process, experiment again and figure it out. And I believe to really enjoy the journey, it's all about connection with your heart, mind, and body.
That's good. Okay, to you, Dr. Shashi, your final advice to the men and to the women out there that want to change their look.
Okay. I think the initial point we're talking about is what we eat and how we eat and what we do, and then we went to how we look, because it all affects.
Yes.
This adds up to that, right? Like Mauri said, like Tandy said, experiment everything. And we are going to make mistakes, that's for sure, right? But I think with the information that is available to us these days, you're much more luckier than when I started off. When I started off, there was not much of social media or even smartphones in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
And I had to go and like learn up from whatever knowledge that I have, with books, and and now it's available in videos where you can watch. You can follow us on our YouTube page, where we always constantly give out information on how to prevent certain diseases and all those, right? So based on that, a lot of people out there who give you advice and all those, stream which works best for you. What is your body type? What is your goal? What is, the first thing is, what do you want? Are you happy with who you are and what you are? Do that, right? But do not expect to achieve what another person has achieved in terms of physical strength or looks or whatever, by being happy with how you are. If you want to achieve something, if you've got an idol that you're looking at and you want to achieve, like they said, it takes time to achieve that. A lot of experimentation on how you eat, what you eat, and it's available so easily out there right now. And you can do all these things and take your time to achieve your target. Know your goal, know your target. Do it for yourself, most importantly, right? And I think that is what I want to say.
Okay, wonderful people. We are very, very, very okay with today's podcast, because me, myself, I have learned so many things today from medical doctors, from Mario. They have told us things we need to know, things we need to avoid. Like they said, things that you are lucky to learn all this now. Yeah. Before then, where there is no phone, there's no how I can get this information. But now everything is available at the YouTube and the other platforms. So, Doctor, can you tell the audience your social media platform so they can follow and learn more?
Yeah, sure. You can follow us on YouTube, the KL Sky Clinic, THEKL Sky Clinic.
Okay.
Right. That's on TikTok, YouTube. It's on Facebook and YouTube as well. Yeah, everywhere.
Okay, to you, Mr. Mori.
On Instagram, I'm particularly more active. The.Mauri, the Mauri. And another channel is Tuesday with Mauri.
Okay, to you, Dr.
And you guys can follow your girl, Tandy, at totally_Tandy on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, anywhere. I'm there. Yeah, totally Tandy.
Okay, guys, please, you have to support, you have to follow them, you have to learn a lot from them. Go to the channels. I will also tag it on at the end of this production. You also see it there. Follow them. Also follow us at Top V Media Podcast. We are going to be continuously bringing wonderful, great men and women to teach us, to tell us things, experience that they have gotten in the past that will help you that is lucky to get it now from the YouTube, because it took them many years to study to become a medical doctor. Many years. They spend money, but there you can learn all this at home. At the comfort of home, you just sit down, you play your YouTube, and you get everything. So follow them, watch, share, let people know about this. It's going to help them. From all of us here, thank you very much for watching. We love you. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.